So this Me Too business, oh my goodness, I've read so many horrible things like Glenn Thrush or all these like Trump related assaults or Harvey Weinstein assaults, and then everybody else who was also assaulted or harassed or groped and whatnot. And I think I'm still feeling so toxic over this boy who threw himself at me really aggressively last June. And I try to piece through it and like understand every little tiny detail about why the whole thing was so creepy. One thing that is kind of strange is he said about his on again, off again girlfriend of 4 years or whatever, she's like a bucking bronco. And he described watching her as being like a bucking bronco. Because I was cool to meet up with him and Brenda and have coffee. That was fun because it was talkative, it was group setting, it was nothing threatening. So Brenda bailed, I got stuck with him, and we liked talking. And having an intellectual rapport with the dude is not the same thing as having any other kind of rapport. Which for him, he was way crossing boundaries in a way that made me feel threatened, nervous, uncomfortable. And I think a part of the nervousness was not wanting to mess up the friendship. And like, come on, you gotta be kidding. So the first thing that happened, I'm like, do you have a picture of her? Can you show me a picture of her? He shows me a picture of this girl. He's still sleeping with her. I get him to admit he's still sleeping with her, which he wasn't telling anybody. He was saying, oh yeah, it's over, it's over, it's over. You're still sleeping with her, okay? So whatever, ex, breakup, whatever, on again, off again, whatever, who cares? So I think like the thing that I realized is that my bullshit detector was like high, so I'm just getting him to admit stuff. Normal Mary Ang stuff. It's like I get people to admit stuff all the time, like weird, creepy things. And at one point I go, hey, you're reminding me of other abusers. Stop that. And like I'm brushing his hands off me as he's trying to be Mr. Gropey, gropey, gropey. And I met him for the second time. I'm out with the guy that I'm seeing. I very openly proclaimed to be bisexual, like referred to my girlfriend as my wife, even though she wasn't really, but in a way we like hung out all the time. So one way I think about it is I felt like a spider being cornered and being crushed. And the moment of extreme crushing, he takes me by my arms, pins me down as hard as he can, pinching, and he makes this face like this, as if he's putting all his weight and all his strength into pinning me down. Dude has a heart on. He's pressing it on my leg. And I feel the fact that my arms, I can't do anything. My legs, I can't do anything. And I'm thinking, how do I get out of this? But he's pitched his herpes at me. First thing he's all like, I got herpes. Kim gave me herpes without telling me. I would sleep with you, but I have herpes. And I'm all like, I didn't ask you to sleep with me. I'm not your physician. I don't want to know your disease history. This has nothing to do with me. You're my bro. You're my homie. You're my cool guy friend. Stay in that box, friend zone. And so, like, I'm like, as he's telling me about his disease stuff, I'm all like, oh, I'm sleeping with so-and-so. I'm good. Everything's great. I don't need anything. No, I'm cool. And, oh, he just like, oh, gropey, gropey, handsy with me. I view it as delusional. I view it as possibly sentimental. I view him as potentially closeted gay. I think of him as like a gay best friend. And I've had so many cool guy friends that they may be gay, they may be straight or whatever, bachelors. I don't discriminate. I don't flip out about women having social situations with some guy. I just viewed it as socialization. And he was progressive. And I told him about my abusive ex. I told him I was terrified that my ex was looking for me. Or, potentially trolling through the city looking around. And what else? I had told him that my ex's assault was life-threatening, dangerous, that I almost had to die for my ex to get any kind of psychological services, because all the many, 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 many times I tried to find help for him, I had been ignored or blown off by the system. So I told him femicide was the price of him getting into care. So by the time he's almost breaking my neck, now we're gonna care. Okay, world. So we're having these deep heart-to-heart about real life issues that matter, like whether or not women are going to be killed by delusional psychotic men, right? So he started groping at me. I'm kind of moving from one side of the room to the other, drinking a lot of tea, going to the bathroom a lot, weak bladder. And then at some point I just look over at him and I say, "You're dismissed." And I think, oh God, that sounds funny. This is like school. You're dismissed. And this memory I have of him trying to put his arm around me, sideswipe my breast, me brushing his hand off. And then at one point I say, "I'm not attracted to guys that look like you. I'm attracted to this other kind of looking guy." And then I'm like, "You look like my brother." And then I say, "You're acting like an abuser. Will you stop that?" There were numerous roadblocks I kept putting in verbally for him to keep groping at me that were indicating, back off, give me my space. And then at some point I even said, "Well, I like the guy I date is the exact same size as me and doesn't feel as physically threatening. You are physically threatening to me with your gigantic size." I was like, "I like him, but I don't like this. I was telling him you were making me feel unsafe by overpowering me." So at the moment when he does the big slam down, I'm feeling trapped. I'm thinking, oh God, is he going to rape? He's just told me he has herpes. This is the director of Meals on Wheels for Seaside, Oregon. This is creepy. Somebody told me I need to talk to Northwest Senior and Disability Services or something, but they somehow participate in the contract through the Sunset Empire. I'm like, cool, okay, I'll do that. But I remember there being a moment of sheer terror. And that's what I have not received recompense for. I also remember my ribs hurting. And I remember my arms hurting. And I remember struggling and finding I couldn't get out. And instead of there was nothing funny about it. Nobody was smiling. Nobody was laughing. He was looking at me with the most sinister, cruel, mean, controlling face. And when I finally stood up, I said, "But I trust you," which I realized I meant, "But I trusted you," past tense, and I no longer do. I escorted him out. So that was over. The next time I see him, I get a call from him. Brenda, this girl, my friend, who has some insane crush on him, that I was originally meeting up with him and her to sort of keep on this date thing. She thinks she's dating him. So I'm going to be like, hey, man, you're breaking my best friend's heart. What the hell's going on? He's basically like, I'm not attracted to her. And then gloms onto me. But he's like, I don't know, I'm sleeping with my ex. And I'm like, okay, dude, you got too many girls you're working on here. What are you, like a Mormon? Oh, Kim is a Mormon. Okay, so you guys are polygamists, or what's the deal? This is totally cool with Kim? I think this, maybe not. Maybe not. So, I'm like, so what's with the roughhousing? We go to this stupid little July 4th concert. He's like, oh, I'm volunteering for the Seaside police to walk around because there's not enough officers to do security. And I realized he'd already used his job. He tried to get me to do his radio show at Coast Radio to, like, get my number. Then he tried to get me to go to picnic, tried to get me to go on little weird threesome dates with him and Brenda. And then he's already creeping me out. So I'm like holding on to my guy that I date like this. I just met you. You're walking by. I should have never said hi to him the second time I spotted him in the movie theater. Instead, I'm all like, Miss Social, oh, hi. Not thinking, oh, this is a predator. This is a creep. But Brenda's given her accolade. Oh, he works with seniors and vulnerable people. Oh, he's cool. And I'm thinking, ugh. Brenda's typing guys, it's not my typing guys, so like, there's no conflict at all. So, Woody and I are all clicking on talking about politics. Yeah, we click on that. So, I want that, but I don't want the other crap. I don't want his groping at me, grabbing my breasts, intimidating me, cornering me. And every time I tell him, I don't know, but like, I like the person that I'm seeing, I even get this like face like he's depressed. So I basically put him down over and over and explained, yeah, no, this is flattering, but no thank you. And I realized I'm just way too nice. I should have just told him, you're ugly, get out of my face. I'll get there, I'm 40. So eventually, like, how many creepy dudes have to hit on me before I get... But the thing is sometimes they react violently no matter what you do. You're nice, they're violent. You're angry, they're violent. So you're always doing this tightrope dance of how to get out of the situation or preserve what you have. And for me, I realized I wanted to preserve the feeling of friendship, but I immediately confront him the next time I see him. He's dodgy and evasive. The next time I see him, he's trying to get me alone again, and I'm like, I don't want to hang out with you. I'm like, you need to control yourself and not get out of control. Like, if we can be friends, cool, and talk. But he was propositioning me, like, trying to pin me up against a wall. Same old crap, basically. And I see him on the river. I'm just like, I'm moving. And me moving that fast was partly kind of like an FU to him. It was like, yeah, stop acting like a stalker, bye. Go. See ya. I told ya. I don't like ya. I'm moving to a different town. And I think he got it. It was like the final, yeah, I'm moving. Like, I have no need for you to be crawling all over me, trying to paw at me, just because I want to talk about politics. Come on. So he's like, oh, you want to go to this record swap? So I go to the record swap. There's his coworker. He's all like, all over her. And I'm like, you disgusting man. Okay, so you're sleeping with your ex, flirting with your coworker viciously. She's like, I've never felt this feeling before, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, he's such a con artist. And he's flirting with his coworker, like in front of me too. Because I think at that point he finally kind of realized, I'm not into you. I'm not into how you look. Like, I'm not into you that way. No, you're not sleeping with me. But the moment of him pinning me down, this male part pressed against me non-consensually, I do recognize that as a sexual assault. And though I'm like, oh yeah, cool, you didn't rape me, cool, you didn't give me your herpes, it's still sexual harassment. It was unwanted. And the quid pro quo part of it is he's all like, hey, you want to be on my radio show? Then he's like, I can move in, I could be your roommate. Then, okay, so I see him this time, this little consecutively, like July, the end of June, July. He's all like, oh, you can volunteer for my program. And he's already told me, volunteers don't get paid, I'm the only one who gets paid. I'm like, sketch. And I'm thinking, like, volunteer for you? What are you going to be, chasing me around the senior center? Pinning me up in closets and stuff? You're creepy. You know who he reminds me of? He's like, I hope he's not as bad as, like, a Jimmy Savile. But then I thought about, maybe he raped his girlfriend to get her herpes. Maybe he just says she gave it to him. Maybe he raped her, because he pretty much almost raped me. And, I mean, he had his clothes on. I had my clothes on. I was, like, not into him that way. I was into him in a nice guy friend, like a brother kind of way. So, every time I see him, I get, like, an insane panic attack. And the police pretty much want to take a statement for a charge of sex abuse 3. Because basically, pinning somebody against their will and pressing your swollen penis on them is a sexual assault, even if it's not penetrative. And at that point, Coast Radio would be like, cool. And I feel like if I do get the guts to talk to the police and, like, let them record this statement, then I've already put it in writing a couple of times, a couple of different formats. I realize I did nothing wrong. My life should not be wrecked. I should just be able to go about my life. It's his fault. He's the one who did that. I did nothing wrong. And I was honestly upset that he was hurting my best friend. And I was trying to get to the bottom of, what's your deal? I didn't believe that he had sincere intentions toward me. I think he was just, desperate rebound, ego boost. Now I think of him as sort of a predatory womanizer who's utterly clueless, because his style of, like, groping and grabbing, so offensive to me. If it's not mutual, what's, you're out of your mind. So that's Chris Duffy of, like, whatever, Hillary Clinton campaigning or Detroit leadership or whatever. Came to Astoria, Oregon to hurt women, I guess, and get a state salary. That's very piddling state salary, but it's your tax money at work. I sure as hell hope he isn't hurting any seniors. I would never let my senior go eat his meals, and I won't be working with him. I'm not working on his radio show, and I'm throwing all his little managers who are all dudes are like, oh, he must really like you, or, oh, I'll let you guys should just have a sit down and talk. It's like, a sit down and talk? No, why don't you go turn yourself in and save me the trouble of having to explain this? You know what you did. And he's apologized, sort of like a half-assed apology in an email. But why don't you actually explain what was going through your mind the moment you pinned me down? That's what I want to know. I think he was mad that I didn't like him, and he was retaliating against me. Either that, or he's this violent with Kim normally, so he's just trying to transpose some kind of behavioral pattern. I've tried to think of a bunch of excuses for him. DUIs, he's like a dry drunk. I don't know. Me too.